Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Stephanie Anduri.
I'm Dr. Graham Anduri, and we are here today to talk about dissolving performance anxiety. If you follow us on Sing for Your Lives or in the Transformative Singers group, we've been talking about performance anxiety the last couple days, and we had some giveaway things that we did, and there was a huge response to our stage fright survival guide, an ebook that we wrote to address different ways of addressing stage fright or performance anxiety, because so much of what's out there right now, so much of the stuff that we've come across, that we've heard people talk about techniques to deal with this problem have really been ineffective. They were ineffective for me when I was trying to do different things. And we keep seeing and hearing people that this is a problem that they need to figure out, they need to address.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what level of singer we're talking about. People who are amateurs and have never sung before, like little kids, we all gave piano recitals, we all gave voice recitals when we were little. We all know that we were terrified to do it then. And I think most of us assume that at some point in the life of a professional musician, that just sort of subsides. It goes away. We figure out how to deal with all of those nerves. Oh my gosh, we have so many friends who are singing at the Met, singing at, these huge, giant Broadway, giant houses, giant
the world doing stuff.
Shows that are still struggling every single performance with like crippling performance anxiety. Mm-hmm. And it would be one thing if we felt nervous and then we went out on stage and it didn't affect us. But because it is so tied to the breath, it's so tied to how our bodies feel, it has an enormous impact. It can have an enormous impact on the way that we sing, which ends up increasing performance anxiety, because then
it's like a feedback.
Exactly. We go out, we do a performance. The performance anxiety messes with our voices. We struggle to breathe right, or we struggle to really get our, our resonance underneath us, or be bodily aware, any of these things.
Yeah. And you forget your words.
Oh my gosh.
You forget what you're doing on stage. Yeah. Your mind goes blank, and you just start sweating. You can't keep control of your instrument anymore.
Right. And so it just begets more performance anxiety, because then we have the experience of having botched a performance.
Right. It just reinforces itself.
Yeah.
So if you're watching live right now, or if you're watching this as a replay later on, go ahead and put in the comments, what have you tried to address your performance anxiety? What techniques have you tried that maybe they've been successful, maybe they've been helpful, maybe they haven't been? Go ahead and put those in the comments. We really would love to hear what has worked, what hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about what we do for what we learned for ourselves, but what we help our students and our clients to do that doesn't just tamp down and kind of make you forget about the performance anxiety. It doesn't just kind of shove it down so you don't notice it as much. We're going to talk about ways that you can completely get rid of it entirely. It's like it's not even a factor anymore, because you have switched your mentality around your performance. You've changed your mindset around what is the purpose of my performance right now. And when you do that in the right way, performance anxiety doesn't even enter the picture. It's not even a factor.
Yeah. And it's a giant paradigm shift that needs to happen, right? Because anytime we feel nervous to perform, it's because we have this unconscious or maybe conscious belief that the audience is there sort of to get us, that we're separate from them. And that's just not the case. So as soon as we switch the paradigm, as soon as we sort of shift how we see our job, our duty on that stage, and our connection with our audience, and our ability to transform them, and how that all works, everything shifts for us. But until we make that paradigm shift, there's really no way to affect actual change.
Right.
And it's because I think all of the tactics that people are trying, that people are telling you to do, visualize somebody in their underwear. Right. Yeah. Oh, yes, Lindsay. Exactly.
We were just talking about this exact thing. Lindsay said people suggest imagining the audience naked. What's the point of that? It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And it doesn't honestly help. And the reason it doesn't help is because we're trying to affect the world outside of us. when we are trying to think of the audience looking a certain way or something else happening out there, imagining an empty audience, which by the way is like a terrible thing and nobody wants an empty audience.
No,
like,
who
why are
wants
we
that?
imagining that? Like, I want so many people in the hall, you know. But as soon as we start to do that, we're trying to affect the world beyond us. And we don't have any control over the world outside of ourselves. We can control ourselves. But if we're only trying to affect the world outside of us, external circumstances, then we're not able to focus on what within us needs to shift in order to alleviate the problem.
Yes, so many of the techniques that we hear about for performance anxiety, but also just for singing in general, for life in general, there's so much about, you know, the tips and the tricks that you hear people offering to do, you know, to do whatever it is that you do at a better level. They're really not addressing the root cause of anything. They're just addressing symptoms. They're putting band-aids on a much larger problem, and the band-aid's not going to actually help at all. So yeah, things like imagining the audience naked, or I've heard like eating I used to play classical guitar, and people would always say you got to eat a banana before you go out on stage because it'll make you less nervous. Has nothing to do, it does nothing to make you less nervous. It's got some potassium that maybe keeps you from shaking, but like, you're shaking from being nervous is a totally different thing. The banana does nothing to help it. But I still hear people say that all the time. You got to eat a banana before you go out. Go ahead and eat your banana. It's not going to help the stage fright at all. I still want to know what are some other things that you all have tried that I want to know what you've tried that has helped. So Lindsay, for example, has worked with us for a good while now, and she had, she had some performance anxiety issues that she was working through, and she just sent me a recording the other day of herself singing at a public venue with other people, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So, Lindsay, congratulations on getting beyond, moving through this. And I know for some of us, it's an ongoing issue. It's not just an immediate switch that it's like turning on a light switch or something. There's stuff that we have to process. There's stuff that we have to realize that is maybe buried deep within ourselves that we have to kind of uncover and realize, why do we feel this way? What is at the root of this experience?
Yeah. As we talk about often, 95%, according to neuroscience, 95% of our brain activity is unconscious brain activity. So we are only really aware of 5% of what we are doing, the choices that we're making, the beliefs that we hold, which is a mind-blowing thing that we're just walking through the world completely unaware of the thoughts that are going on as we are walking through the world. But recognizing that is the case, and recognizing that you have to become conscious of whatever beliefs you're holding that are keeping you in this place of fear, of stage fright, and also giving yourself permission to feel what you need to feel in that. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You are not less of a performer. As we said, we have friends singing at the Met who are struggling.
Renee Fleming talked about having crippling performance anxiety. Yep. Beyonce has a whole alter ego that she created to overcome performance anxiety. Adele had the same thing.
Yeah.
And so people come up with all of these different ways of dealing with that. But that self-awareness of understanding what is causing this and why is it there is going to allow you to then address those root causes of that problem. If you don't know why it's happening, you don't know what's going on in your body, you don't know what's causing that, you don't know what, maybe there was something that happened when you were singing on stage at some time that was a traumatic event for you, an emotionally traumatic event, and that contributes to it. And that's something I gotta sit down and figure out why that's still causing me to have this issue right now.
Yeah.
How can I dissolve that? How can I let go of it?
Right. What is preventing you from feeling like your voice is worthy of being shared, And once you recognize what it is what unconscious belief you are holding that is keeping you locked in that place of, I'm not worthy of sharing my voice, that at that point you can dissolve it. But until you identify that, it's really difficult to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a huge component of what we do for ourselves. We do this all the time, every day, just the two of us, but we guide the people that we work with the singers that work with us on these self-awareness journeys, right? We guide them in becoming more aware of what is getting in their way and how can we dissolve this. And because again, the Band-Aid things just don't do the trick. The surface level, tips and tricks to try to get rid of your performance anxiety are not really going to address the actual problem. They're not going to get rid of that problem. They're just going to they might make it a little easier for you to go out and pretend that things are different than they really are. But really, so here is what it comes down to. The biggest mindset shift that you can embody to really get out there on stage and do away with this performance anxiety monkey on your back once and for all is to change what your purpose is when you go out there on the stage. It's to change your goal. Basically, you're changing what it is that you are trying to accomplish when you sing, or when you do anything, when you speak, when you perform, when you act, when you're doing anything in front of an audience.
Really, even if you're just talking to a group of people that you're uncomfortable talking to.
So much of what this all stems from is it's a fear-based response, right? We are afraid of something. And a lot of time, I was just talking to somebody earlier today about this, or maybe it was yesterday, that what are you afraid is going to happen when you go out on stage? And they said, I don't even know. I'm just terrified. I get petrified. Like I literally get paralyzed and I can't do anything. And so what happens when we're out on stage, we get afraid that when we sing, it's this really vulnerable experience inherently, right? We're sharing something that is very intimate to who we are, which is our voice. And so when you're sharing that intimate part of yourself, that's a vulnerable place to be. You're putting yourself out there for people to judge, or so we think, and to criticize. And there are things within the singing industry that are basically set up to be exactly that. Like if you get a music degree at the end of the semester, you have to do a jury, which I think is the most terrible
name.
term.
Oh my gosh, how daunting is the word jury?
It's like written into it that you shall be judged for your singing.
You can pass this or you will go to prison. Like if you have not learned every word accurately, we will lock you up.
Or you do a competition and there's a panel of judges, and you go to an audition and there's a panel of judges, and so there's judgment that's this like baked into our psyches around this stuff. But that's not the point. You are not there to be judged. You are not there to have somebody go through your performance with a fine-tooth comb and pick out, where were they a half step flat, or where did they miss that one note, or where did they forget a word, or where did their vibrato not do exactly the right thing, or where did they lose a little bit of resonating space? It's not what it's about. It's not about the perfection of your technique or your perfection of your delivery or the perfection of anything. It's not about perfection at all. It's about making a connection with your audience, and an audition panel is an audience. A competition panel is an audience. The voice teachers that are at your jury that's an audience. And so really what people are looking for, and I would tell my students this all the time when we were teaching at university, it's not about getting it all right. It's about moving your audience emotionally. It's about making us feel something that we haven't felt before.
Right. And also just the understanding that just as these people, I like to say, are comprimarios in your life, right? They're just these fleeting, these people in your path, right? They're supporting roles, right? So they're in your life for the hour that you are in this performance, and you are carrying your performance home with you, and you are holding it and cuddling it and like going to bed thinking about it, right? But these people are potentially not, most likely not, and they're certainly not waking up 3 years from now thinking about whatever flaws there were in your performance. So the same way that they are comprimarios in your life, you are a comprimario in theirs. That doesn't mean that you can't affect amazing change in their lives. You can transform them in beautiful ways by holding up a mirror and by allowing them to feel empathy or compassion for some situation that they never have experienced before. Mm-hmm. You are giving them an opportunity to step into someone else's shoes, and it's a really, really beautiful gift. But at the end of that performance, they go back to their lives, and their life is not your performance, right? That's just a fleeting moment within it. And so shifting your perspective to think, okay, This is not such a grand thing. If I make a mistake, it's okay, because this is fleeting in their lives. I don't have to keep reliving this. I get to keep creating more opportunities to share the part of myself that I am so proud of and so honored to give as a gift to everyone else.
And the thing to remember too is it's not about you at all. They're not there to see you or to hear you. They're there to be moved by that experience. They're there they want to be taken somewhere. They want to be taken on a journey, right? They want to have this emotional experience that you can provide for them. But they're not there to judge you. They're not there to go through with a fine-tooth comb. They're there to have an experience themselves. And you have the honor and the privilege of providing that experience through the story that you are telling.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we're doing. Whether you're, no matter what you're singing, whether you're actually singing something that's part of a story, or you're singing a folk song, or you're singing, a song that you wrote, or you're singing whatever it is, it's a story of some piece, some slice of the human experience. You are sharing that little piece of some human experience with other people so that they can connect with it. They can empathize with it. They can see themselves in that story. And when you do that with honesty and authenticity and emotional, here's the big word, right? Vulnerability. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, then all of a sudden you are pulling them into that world. You are pulling them into, like you like to say, a hologram. It's like a new world for them to step into and experience something.
Yeah. Yeah. The same way that when we go to the movies, we don't go to the movies to support the actors who are in it, no matter, who they are, like, unless you happen to be Leonardo DiCaprio's mom, which, like, thanks for watching. But when you go to the movies, you're not going to support the actors. You're going to see the story told. You're going to experience that story. You're going to put yourself in their shoes and to be taken away for a couple of hours. And in those couple of hours, without recognizing it, very often we learn so much about ourselves and about who we have the capacity to be, that when we leave that theater, we're transformed. Well, it's no different. Our audiences come to the theater not to support us, not to see us, but to feel the same sense of transformation within themselves. And what a joy it is to offer that.
And yeah, so there is, I will say this just came to mind. Some of the times that I have been really nervous to go sing is when I did not feel prepared, right? Like I didn't learn my music in time. And so I was worried I actually would forget my music because I hadn't put in the time that was necessary. That kind of thing that's legit. You should be scared if you are not prepared to go sing.
Learn your music, go practice.
Go practice. But most of the time, we get to that point right before the performance, and we have these sort of unfounded fears about forgetting our music or about screwing up that have nothing to do with our level of preparation. We're totally prepared. We just have this idea, like, I got to go through it in my head right before I go on stage, and then that just psychs you out even more. You don't need to go through all that. Put yourself in character, and whether you're playing a character in a show, or you have, like I was talking about, Beyonce has this, she doesn't do it anymore, but at the beginning of her career, she had this alter ego that she created called Sasha Fierce, that she's like, I can't just be me and go out and do all this crazy stuff that I have to do on stage. So I have to become this character. And through that character, I could do that. And Adele said she did the same thing. She took a kind of inspiration from Beyonce to do that. And then after a while, you didn't need that anymore. You can just go out and she could go out and become this character without having to really think about it being somebody separate from her. But be in character. Be the character that is singing that song.
Right. Don't pretend to be in character, by the way. There's a big difference between be acting and becoming, or pretending and actually trying on the character situation, empathizing with it, and sort of experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah, and the first time I realized this, it was the first time I did I was in college. It was the first time I had done an opera, and I was sitting backstage like opening night. And I was freaking out because I had never done anything like this before. And I was singing Bartolo in The Marriage of Figaro. And so I was back there sweating profusely because I had a hot costume on, but I was sweating because I was nervous. And then it just occurred to me to think about, okay, what would Bartolo do right now? What would he do in this situation? And so I just started thinking through my character and how I was going to act in this next scene coming up. And all of a sudden I realized, wait, I'm excited to go out and just like have fun with this and just be a goofball on stage. And so I did. And then it was just like, from that point on, I realized I just need to get into character. I just need to become this person. And then it's no longer me. It's no longer about me. And it never was about me. It's about the message. It's about trying to create an experience for the audience. I wanted to make them laugh. I wanted to, get a rise out of the audience. And so when I do my job right, I elicit that emotional response from the audience, and it's not me doing it so much as it's me being a vehicle for that message to get across to them. Yeah. It's a vehicle for them to feel something that they've never felt before. And so this is such a powerful mindset shift for you to embody. And for me, it was an easy thing like that. For other people, it's taken some time for them to really put aside some of their past experiences and really embody this fully. But man, oh man, when they do, it makes a night and day difference. Yeah. We just had a singer that went through our program who was he wasn't so much suffering from performance anxiety, but he was dealing with what we call impeded singing, which is all performance anxiety falls under this category that we call impeded singing, where you're singing to impress, you're singing to try to be perfect, you're singing to show off how good you are, or to maybe to avoid making mistakes, or to hope that people will maybe like your voice. Yeah. And so all of that falls under the category of impeded singing, because it's an ego-based thing. You're trying to put you at the center of attention, rather than putting the message as the central focus. Yeah. And when you put the message as the central focus, all of a sudden you're not worried about you being the focus. You're not worried about judgment on you. You have this empowerment to just go out on stage or go into that audition and say, here's this thing I want to share with you. What do you think? Yeah. And it just is such a different mentality. And so this guy that we just worked with, he went from auditioning like crazy on over and over and over and getting nothing. And then he embodied this mindset shift, and all of a sudden he's been getting contract after contract after contract. He's just got his fourth professional contract
with big companies too. I mean, we're talking
major companies. Yeah. In just a few months. So it can be that big of a difference in whether you're trying to make a career or not, or you're just, you're trying to do this for yourself. You're trying to sing at church. You're trying to sing in a community choir. You want to maybe do some solo stuff at the local bar downtown or whatever. Doesn't matter. It all comes down to, can you embody what the spirit of this song is? Can you embody what the character is that's telling this story? And that it really makes all the difference. It gets down to the very root of the problem, yeah, which is fear of being judged. It's fear of being imperfect. It's fear of being less than what you think people want to hear. And all of a sudden it flips that paradigm around in such a way that it's just not about that anymore. Yeah. It's about offering an opportunity for transformation.
And then you don't have to picture anybody naked anymore, which frankly can just make you more afraid, depending on who's in your audience. You never know. So it doesn't help. It doesn't, do anything good for us. Mm-hmm. But there is a solution, and it's shifting the way you see your job, the way you see your place, and the way you see your voice, and its worthiness.
Yeah. Because you have worthiness, right? You are worth something. That's, I think, something that so many of us struggle with, is we don't feel like we have something of value to offer. You do. Your voice has inherent value that you can offer out. And it's the value of it is exactly that. It's It's that opportunity for transformation. It's that opportunity that you present to people to feel something new. So that's what we challenge all of you to go out and do. Go sing to make somebody feel something they've never felt before. And if you are looking for guidance in this, whether it's performance anxiety or career guidance, trying to figure out how to become a professional singer in any way that looks for you, let us know, because that's what we do. We want to help you. We want to help everybody that we can help to improve their voices, to improve their singing, their expression, their communication, because when we do that, we make this world a better place. Singing is so important for us to all of us to engage in, and to do it in a way that changes people, to do it in a way that changes ourselves. So if you're interested in what that could look like for you, reach out, leave us a message, shoot us a Facebook message or an email. We would love to know what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, and to see if we can help you get there.
Yeah.
So we are doing, if one of the things that we have coming up is Transformative Singing Boot Camp in a couple of weeks. If you're interested in what that might look like, it's a 3-day intensive, and we're going to go through all kinds of different techniques and different ways of approaching singing, mind, body, heart, and spirit, that will transform the way that you use your voice, transform the way that you think about singing, and it'll have major implications for how you approach your life as well. So if you're interested in that, leave a comment on this post, on this video, and we can get you information for that. And other than that, thanks for tuning in, those of you who are live. And if you're watching this as a replay, thanks for checking this out. And we hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah.
Can't
Have a
wait to
great
help
day,
you out.
guys.